Welcome to Hypothetically Sound, a podcast about life, pulp culture, family, hosted by Alec, Randy, and Xavier. This is the first episode, Reconnecting. For full video of the podcast, head over to our YouTube channel, Hypothetically Sound.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Hypothetically Sound. My name is Randy. I am joined with my other host,
Alec.
Mine-
Oh man, we're so awkward. Hey, what's up? My name's Alec.
There's three
My
of us.
name is Xavier.
Thank you guys for tuning in to our first ever podcast. This is going to be really awkward, probably for the first, all episodes, but don't worry about it. It's worth it.
It'll get better, I promise.
Yeah.
So we're cousins. I was gonna say 20. I am 32. I am the oldest.
Damn right, you boomer.
I'm the oldest of everyone here. We got my younger brother Alec, who is 20 something. I don't know. I don't care about his age.
I am 25.
And then we got my cousin Xavier.
Also 25.
Well, he's younger than me though. 10 days.
Okay. Doesn't make you the bigger person here.
Hold on. I'm the bigger person in many ways in this situation.
Yeah, well, brain
Except for my
science,
nose.
I don't know about that.
But as you guys saw, this episode is titled Reconnecting. So we're just gonna, talk about us reconnecting. We got split apart basically when we were pretty young. Family situations happened. People moved away. We moved away. Everybody moved away. And then through the power of Instagram, which is weird, the power of Instagram, I found one of my other cousin's Instagram pages for his streaming. Kevin, who's not here, Xavier's older brother. And I started talking to him, and then we got reconnected with Xavier, and the rest is history.
Pretty much. But not only just that, too, we're going to talk about a lot of other things as well. Not even just on this episode, but in the future. One of the things that I wanted to look at was kind of like, there's some people take pictures in their life, things like that. But I'm also looking at kind of using this as just like a benchmark of life. Come look at these days back at, the videos that we recorded and just kind of see, what our mindsets were, what kind of things we wanted to accomplish, and then see as we grow from that as time goes on.
Yeah, I believe it's more about the experience than anything else.
No, definitely. I think we're in a very privileged generation where we are able to record more than just have still pictures. We're able to record and have our mindsets put out to the world so we can look back, other people can look back when we're gone and see where we were at a certain point in our life. And that's a really, really cool thing to be able to do. So I'm excited about doing the podcast, getting our feelings and our thoughts out in the world, and like you said, having that momentum to look back on when times change.
I'm also really interested to see how other people, their reactions, or if they have any input, kind of where other people's views are, especially when we talk on some of these topics. It's going to be a kind of a doorway just to kind of see how other people feel.
I'm also, my bad. I'm also excited in a couple years to look back at this and see how much uglier we got.
Yeah, you're the only one on that boat.
Oh, am I? Because your nose doesn't stop growing, dog.
Okay, listen, it did at the age of, what is the science behind this? Age 21? Listen.
Did it? Did it really? You got pictures of when you were 21?
I don't know, dude. I'm worried. Stop.
No, it's gonna be like that old man's from Alt.
Well, I feel, guys, that it's important if people are going to listen to us or watch us on YouTube. It's important that they, get at least a feeling of who we are. So I think it's only appropriate the first episode that we each give a little introduction to who we are, what our past is, what things like that. So being the oldest, most mature, best looking, one of the group. I think I'll start and then you guys can follow up. So, said earlier, my name is Randy. I am 32, as I said as before. Gamer, sports fan, bachelor degree person. I don't use it because, world. Uh, Grew up in North Minneapolis with pretty big family, extended family. We had uh, Xavier, Alec, Xavier's older brother, another one of my cousins, like 8 other cousins. We had uh, people who weren't blood but were like blood, and we spent a lot of time together. And then, as with a lot of people, hardships happen. We lose things. People move on, move out, and you get separated. During that time, I was a bad little kid. And by little, I mean I was like 14, 15 at this time, and not so little. I was 5'11", 380 pounds, so definitely wasn't little. I've always been big my whole life. Perfectly happy with that. Went to Wayzata High School in Minneapolis, big sporting place. Then moved to Wisconsin. Got my high school degree while acting. It was fun. I turned that acting into college passion. Went to Augsburg for a year, then went to UW La Crosse for 3 years, 7 years. Wasn't 3 years, it was 7 years because I double majored. But that's life. You do things that you think you want to do, and they might not always end up the way you want. But at least it was experience. I had a blast. Spring break, friends, drinking, partying, girls, acting. It was a blast. So I enjoyed every minute of it. Very down to earth person. I like putting people before me. I do whatever it takes to make sure someone's happy. See, during this, I'm a very opinionated person. I am a social justice warrior, as my brother likes to call me. Just because when I see something being wrong, I try to do whatever I can to help. And that's me in a very condensed nutshell. You'll figure out more about me as podcasts go on. Whoever wants to go next can go.
Yeah, I'll go. Well, my name is Xavier. I am 25 years old. Currently, I am a manager of a tech repair store. Just fresh off of getting a software development degree, going to be going back for a network specialist degree as well. So that's kind of a little background there. Much like, Randy was saying, very opinionated about some things. Otherwise, I'm more of I take the objective approach, I believe would be the best word for that. I like to look at things from every angle possible. So you definitely hear a lot of objection from random angles from me during a lot of the podcasts and things like that. I have lived in Wisconsin pretty much my entire life. Kind of as Randy mentioned earlier about people moving and stuff like that. I got separated from them around the age of 5 or 6, somewhere around there. So it's been quite a long journey. Things changing a lot. So I'm excited to see where things go from here.
Nope.
So, like I said before, I'm Alec, 25. Same story, separated when I was about 6. The only difference is that I spent a lot of my days and summers back in Minnesota, visiting my dad and family and whatnot, until about high school. Then sophomore year, I stopped going as much. I went to college for a year, then I dropped out. Just wasn't prepared for it, like monetary wise and just mentally. I did have some fun while I was there with friends. I lived in a house full of a bunch of guys, and they were all older than me. Sounds kind of weird. I know. I'm sorry. I went to school for graphic design. I draw some. I do art. I make T-shirts and hoodies. We're actually wearing a couple. And that's been fun. Hopefully, I can get back to school again someday soon. And yeah, that's pretty much me.
Awesome. So yeah,
I lied. It wasn't me. Psych! Fooled you. Yeah, I'm pretty opinionated. I'll be honest. This is a fair warning.
Pretty opinionated.
I'm loud. I'm loud and obnoxious, and I say outlandish things sometimes. But I do stand by what I say for the most part. And I will proudly admit I'm wrong when I am wrong, and I do look at all the other options, but I won't back down from what I believe in at all. So that's me.
Way to be.
Yeah,
Way to be.
I like it. So yeah, there goes us guys in a nutshell. As I said, we're three cousins. So the purpose of this podcast, we're back together again. We sit in Discord with each other pretty much every day, talking about random topics, random things, anime, movies, video games, life, what we would change, what we did, things like that. And we thought it was only right to share it with the world because we enjoy it and we think other people would enjoy it, learn things, debate us with things, anything like that. So if you guys ever, as you're watching this, you have questions or opinions, please comment on YouTube, comment on wherever you're watching this, podcast websites, anything, and we'll definitely bring them up in episodes and talk about them and debate you
right there in the comment. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So what you guys can expect moving forward, like you said, we're going to have episodes focused on anime, more focused on like Marvel movies versus DC movies,
Games, technology,
all kinds
shows.
of things.
Yeah, anything that we can really think of. A lot of the time too, I guess, just depending on how severe some of the topics are. We may cover, some of the things just going on in society too in life, and just kind of, how we see it from our perspective. And back to what Randy was mentioning before, we applaud or we want people to give their perspective of things because, you can only get a full picture of something by having the input of many. When you're one person and you're taking your own perspective, you're not the only person involved in majority of these things, and the perspective of others is what's going to give you a full encompassing picture versus just looking at it one way.
And we try to do that as peacefully as possible. This conversation is what makes the world go round. You can't move on without talking about it.
Exactly.
And things might get heated every once in a while, but we all three of us understand that it's love and like we're all headstrong. Our family is headstrong people. That's the problem with our family, why things turn out the way they are. But I think all three of us have grown and learned enough in life that we understand that words are words and like you can move on from heated arguments without taking things too personal.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we still are, you're still my cousin, you're still my family member, you've still been there. And the same thing goes even for like, random people. You're still just a random person if you argue with them or have a debate. Rather, arguments are not really something that we necessarily want as much as we want to debate. So that's always one thing to keep in mind too, is that, why I ask or why I say, if you have opinions, share those, because we're not looking to argue anything with you, rather looking to debate with you so that maybe you can see it from a different angle. Maybe we can see it from a different angle. And at the, end of the road makes us all better people.
100%. And I think that's an important thing that people forget. Like in a debate, like, yes, you're trying to get people to like, take your side of things, but you're also your focus in the debate is to educate someone on your side of things to sway them your way. And if you fail, you fail. Like it happens. Like I don't expect someone that's a Green Bay Packers fan to become a Vikings fan because I state these facts on why the Vikings are better. Like
statistically, though.
Statistically, yeah. We're not gonna talk about that. But let's get into the crux of this podcast. Like you said, it's about reconnecting. And I think it'll be beneficial for all of us to talk about what it's like to be connected again after 15 plus years of really not talking to each other. I think from like you said, you guys were 6, I was 13. From 13 to 32, we saw each other maybe twice. Where we randomly ended up in your hometown and we saw you that way. So I know. Let's start with Xavier. What's it like to just one day you're sitting there on the computer and Kevin's like, "Hey, I'm talking to Randy and Alec again. Come join." What was that like for you?
What was it like for me? Alt F4, blink. Let me join that chat real quick. No, and the big thing was is like it was kind of mind-boggling because me personally, I don't use social media. I never really have used social media, and a lot of people do use that as an outlet to kind of communicate with each other. I never did that. I used it maybe at the beginning of high school, my freshman year, for a month or two, and then deleted my Facebook. So to have an avenue or have a way for us to, come back in contact, to me, it was a no-brainer. I wanted to take that opportunity right away. So it definitely was unexpected, especially when you live your life, moving moving in a direction that things changed a lot when you were young, um, or things changed when you didn't have control over them. So you just kind of ride out that roller coaster as time goes on, and you sooner or later realize, like, you know, I can change things in my life. So given the opportunity, it's really good to take things like that. So that was my mindset on it as I was like, yeah, yeah, great, fantastic, let's go. I don't have much family anyway, so I would love to have what family I can have. So, how
Alec,
about you?
yeah, like how
Oh,
did you feel when I told you that I found Kevin on Instagram and started talking to him again?
Okay, so um, as Randy mentioned, our family's headstrong, you know, and we all have our issues, especially when it comes to one another. Um, and when Rand told me that, I was like, "Oh, that's dope! Like, it's really awesome. It's really cool." But instantly in my head, I'm like, "Have fun with your one convo, and that's it." You know what I'm saying? And it did get to the point where we were like, "Oh, we're gonna play games with Kev." Like that's what Randy just said one day. He's like, "We're gonna play games with Kev. Kev's gonna be there." We hop in there. Xavier's there, and like from that point, like I was happy. I was like, "Holy shit!" Like it's like actually happening. We're talking to people that we were very very close younger. Like all my early memories are with Xavier, and
and
I was so stoked and I was kind of scared because I was afraid that they wouldn't like me as a person. And Yeah, it turned out really well. We were a lot more common, like personality wise and ideal wise, than I thought we would be. Because we all did grow up, like even me and Rand, we all did kind of grow up in like different ways and around different types of people. So it was a pleasant surprise. I was real happy.
yeah, it's definitely a big change. I think that uh, at the same time too, right? It's very easy to get distance from the ones that you know and you love. Um, so like especially when you move away and stuff like that, you start to live, on a different path, your day-to-day interactions, work, things like that, your interests don't always align, or they start to, vary in different directions. So it's really cool to see that even being, away from each other for so long, that we still had so many interests in common, or things that, we could meet in the middle on. So that was really, really cool as well.
And I think like what hurt me so much when all this happened was I had I had Kevin, I had Jamal, two of my cousins, I had Andrew. Like we were always together. Like from when I was like 9 to 14, like we were always together. We did everything together everywhere we went, birthday parties, the whole nine. We were together, and expectations were that you two and Joey were always going to be together. Like you guys were going to grow up and be the better version of us four because we play sports. And like we were like, yeah, we're gonna get you guys to do it. You guys are gonna be good. Like I changed your diapers. Like you guys were together, and to see that not happen really hurt me. Like because I knew how important that time was in my life to who I became today. Like even though I'm a completely different person than I was then, like I let I'm never gonna let that time disappear. Like I'm gonna remember it. It's gonna shape my future plans. And when things happen that we're kids we can't control, and your mom moves away, then our mom moves away, and we're all just separated. Like even though we're a state away, like we were still too far away to be separate to do anything about it. And to get that chance to like have you and Alec reconnect and be friends again is the most important thing to me. Like I'm glad that we are where we are right now in life, that you two are so connected and everything, because that's what I wanted out of everything. Because I had it and I wanted you guys to have it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's pretty wild too. It's like, as we have this conversation too, one of my coworkers just the other day was kind of conversating about how he has a lot of siblings, and he actually has one that he hasn't seen in 4 years. And then he goes, yeah, but the funny part is she lives in the same city as me. And I was like, just like kind of mind boggled, and you don't really realize. And I told him right away, I was like, man, you guys should really get together and do stuff, because you don't really realize um, how important family, relatives, things like that are, until you don't have them. And I mean, and even some people can't have them or whatever the case is there, but it really does make a difference. And having, whether it's friends, family, whether it's family that friends that you make your family, regardless of what it is, it's just very, very important to keep those connections, because it really can save your own life. You know what I mean? Like, and it can save someone else's life. So that's one thing that I will never throw away now that I've been able to establish that bond and that connection, because it's something to me that's really dear to the heart and helping me kind of make it through my day-to-day life. So
Yeah, I'm like a puppy, dude. I wait by my computer until you get home, and then like my tail wags real good when you get on. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you can say that's weird all you want, Xavier. Okay,
it's weird. It's weird.
all
You're a
right.
weird person.
I think to follow on that, like he said that they live in the same town. Like it's easy to even living in the same town. We lived in while we were in high school. We lived only 3 hours away. A 3 hour drive. It wasn't like we were across country or anything. It was a 3 hour drive. We both could have made that any day of the week. And yet it never happened because I think it's like a mental thing. It's like harder, easier said than done. It's hard to get in that because of the same reason. Like when we all hopped in the first call, like what if I'm not what they expect, or what if I'm not someone that they like, or what if they're not the person that I would think they would be at this point in time.
Right.
And I think that's an important aspect too. Like family's important. Like we were talking, like we just explained how important it is to us. But I think I've also learned in my time on this earth and with our family that it's also important to know when to let go of people and relationships in your life. Like you're always gonna be my family, and like I'm gonna be sad if something happens to you. If you need something, like more than likely I'm gonna help you out. But like I will distance myself if your toxic behavior is too much for me. Like I'm okay with people doing what they have to do to be happy, but when your happiness is dependent on people's sadness, that's when I think it's very important to learn how to say no, take a break from this person, and you can always, and it's up to you how many chances someone gets. So if you really want this relationship to work, it is up to you to determine if that was the last chance or if you're going to give the person another chance. Obviously, this goes without saying, if you're being abused or anything like that, there aren't extra chances. You need to do what it takes to get away from it. But when it comes to just like arguments, heated debates, and stuff like that, like it's up to you to make something work or not to work, and then live with
Which
your
again,
choice.
that too, there's a fine line between, emotional abuse is also a thing. So definitely something that, again, family is really important. But and that's what I can't stress the most is like, um, even to people that are listening, there are you only have so much family. And if you are someone, who's emotionally abusive or anything like that, what value is it to hurt the people in your own family and things like that, or anyone for that matter? Um, I just want to throw that out there that, just love one another. Life's too short. The world moves at a crazy pace. I mean, if you look at society nowadays, the things that we've been dealing with, the whole COVID situation, and that's probably just the start of it, of what we're going to see in the coming years. So, um, just tone it back and love one another instead of being so angry all the time. But please do have your opinions on things, because that's what makes us people.
Mm-hmm. Well, that got deep. And since we're talking about deep, let's move on to our next topic of discussion: future plans and goals. Like I think it's important to always be trying to think ahead in life. And the only way to stick to plans and goals is to speak them out loud. At least in my perspective, if you put them out into the world, people have to hold you accountable for less, especially in something so public as a podcast or videos and stuff. Like, you're going to be held accountable for what you say here. So, good luck.
Yeah. You as well.
Yeah.
Alec, future goals or plans?
All right. So, a big one is getting rid of someone's tummy. It's gone on for way too long. I'm 25, and I don't want that life to be shorter than it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? A big goal is going back to school for graphic design or graphic art or something with art. Maybe even as like a teacher. I don't know. Just something with art. Something I can actually see myself doing every day. If I'm like stuck doing it, gotta enjoy it at some point. I also do eventually want to open up a business where I make my own things or freelance. So that's my main goals. My goal that's always been a thing since I was younger is just to be happy, to wake up with like minimum stress and worries, wake up and not have to worry if like a bill got paid or the water's running or anything like that, because that's always the worst. um yeah, I think like the end goal is just to wake up and like want to wake up, not be there for 10 minutes in bed debating whether or not it's even worth leaving. And
Yeah, in terms of whether or not to go back to bed or not is what
yeah,
you're referencing here, right?
kind of like, if we're gonna be real, it's 50-50, right? Because like I don't want to die, I don't, but in terms of myself, sometimes that seems like the easier option, right? Just because you're just so stressed out or anxious or depressed that like, yeah, that just seems like the easier option than to try to push through the day. And I don't want that for anyone ever, and I don't want that for myself. Yeah, that's my goal, is to get there. And it's not, and I can't say that it's an easy goal to attain, and maybe it doesn't take a lot. It can literally take me just having a decent job that I like. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a super hard goal to attain, but like I think that's what like the schooling and stuff will help with, is getting to the point where I look forward to the day instead of not. Because everyone has rough, and that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be rough every day. You should have
Mm-hmm.
days where you're happy. You should have more days where you're happy to wake up and do things than you have not.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. Don't fall for the schooling fallacy. That school, you don't need school.
I only say that. I only say that because with a graphic arts degree, it makes it easier for me to get higher up in the company, or
Exactly.
or
There are reasons to get the paper.
to
Mm-hmm.
start my company. So
Yep. There's always reason to get the paper. I know that like a lot of people are, that's a whole nother topic, right? Is like the whole debate on whether or not it's worth going to school, or
Yeah.
do you really need a college degree, all that stuff. And the answer is yes. 100% yes. because unless you have some crazy portfolio or some crazy, display of what you're capable of doing that you can, guarantee and verify that it's yours and all of that, you're not going to get anywhere. You're really not. They're not even going to spend the time looking at you unless you know someone, right? It's all about who you know. Um, but it's not just about who you know. It is also about what you know and what you can display that you know. Schooling isn't just for the fact that you can say you know something, but it shows dedication. It shows that you can, obtain good grades. That you can have a goal, set a goal, commit to that goal, and then follow through with it. There are a lot of things that school display other than just being a piece of paper. So that's always something to remember too.
Sure.
But yeah, I just figured I'd have a little side trail on that topic because that was I was just thinking about that.
No, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, no, it's
what people have to hear. I wish in high school someone told me. And that's the thing. Like, they tell you how important college is in high school, but they tell you for the wrong ways. In the wrong ways. They're like, oh, you just need a diploma because you need a diploma. You need to continue. That's what everyone does. But like, getting a diploma and doing well in high school pretty much pays for that, right? And they don't like, they tell you about scholarships and stuff, but like, they need to like really like tell you how much schools really do cost you, not just the school itself, but you have your living wages and all that stuff. And like, they need to like teach you that like saving money in high school is okay, like having fun's cool, but also save some money, or work hard so you don't have to pay that college fee. You can get them scholarships and live good, bless you, and live good. And it's just, Ian, like, it helps set a habit too when you do get into college to like, focus on your work a little bit more than just partying, and finding that balance of having a good time and doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree. That's one thing that didn't teach very well in my high school anyway.
Not mine either, and I know for sure not Rand's.
Not going to say the name or whatever because it's not very nice to do that. But yeah, they definitely they had some like money management classes and stuff like that, which are really good in terms of just basic idea or concepts of saving, or having micro what are they I can't remember what it was called, but essentially you save you save you pick something that you want, and then out of all your paychecks you save a specific allotted amount until you reach that goal, and then you reward yourself for reaching that goal, things like that. So
That's how I got my first
definitely,
PlayStation.
yeah, definitely something that was valuable there. But otherwise, college was never really. I actually dropped out of high school, so I dropped out of high school, got my GED, and then actually started college before my year was going to graduate anyway. So actually was ahead of the game by doing something I shouldn't have done, but worked out for me, I guess.
That's an
Everyone
exception.
has their
That is definitely an exception.
yeah,
Like,
everybody.
oh, bad.
No, dude, it's
I was
weird. So it's a weird system. It's a weird system that we live in. It's definitely one thing that's true that a lot of people say is like, we do live in quite the system. That being a fine example of it, the fact that I could drop out of high school and get my GED and actually start college, and be a semester in already by the time my class was graduating from high school at the time. So definitely a weird scenario how that works, but I guess it does.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there that like use that argument too, is like, oh, there's people who drop out of school all the time that like go get their GEDs right away and get to school or go to the workforce. Or how many celebrities are there that are like, yeah, I'm not a high school graduate, and like, that's great, that's fantastic for them,
But it's not.
you're
Yeah,
not.
it's not. Yeah, it's not. Doesn't really work out all that great. I mean, when you can take AP classes and things like that in high school that actually reduce the costs for you when you go to college, um, because those classes will give you actual college credits in high
Yep.
school. You can save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars by just applying yourself for a little bit while you're in high school. Just go to school, get your work done, and then it pays off huge in the end. When you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars cheaper in terms of getting a college degree.
Yeah. There's many ways to play the game of life. Don't pick the hard way.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. That's absolute truth. But yeah, same. I got a lot of goals too. That's kind of like what I was mentioning early about going back for network specialist or network administrator. it's going to be pretty interesting to see. What I'd like to do is get kind of an idea of network infrastructure, and then ultimately end goal, work for a development company, whether it be a software development company, a game development company, whatever the case is. But there's definitely a lot of steps along the way. That's also another thing that you hear all the time. Younger kids like, I want to be a game developer. I want to do this. Definitely a lot of things that are on the path to doing so. Software development, networking, things like that all kind of play a role in that. So for me, I have a lot of goals for things that I need to obtain like that are going to take quite a long time, probably going back to school even one more time after networking, for security. So that'll be interesting to see. They kind of play a role, kind of play hand in hand. So it'll be quite a journey for me. That's it. I have my journey is school. I'm going back to school again and again. Not going to be a full-time student or anything, because I know that's a common thing that people will do. Learners for life that just like go back to school for degree after degree. But there's got to be an end goal somewhere in all that, right?
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
What about you, Ren?
Goals. What are those? No, obviously the number one goal in my life is slim down. Like Alex said, want to live longer. Probably shouldn't be alive right now as it is anyways. Been over 400 pounds since I was 16. Can't be good on my body. So I need to lose weight. It's a struggle, but got to just keep working at it. Long-term goal I've had since I started doing it. I will be in a movie one day. It's going to happen. I think part of that plan is losing some of the weight and getting an agent. What up?
Does it matter what type of movie it is? 'Cause I'm sure I can pick a specific one pretty easily. I heard they pay well.
Yeah,
but you're going to have to take the brunt of the force.
I will be in. I will be in a Hollywood budgeted Netflix movie or HBO. Like I'm gonna act like it's always been a dream. And I let things that happened in college with my size and not being cast because of my size like take too much of a space in my head, so I stopped acting because like if I can't get a role in college, why in the hell would I possibly get a role in any other place? And I just had to like it's something I'm still getting over, and I just had to remember like not every director is the same, not every producer is the same. Like I went from Augsburg where they gave me a scholarship to be an actor, almost a full ride scholarship, just unfortunately wasn't enough, to lacrosse where they just didn't care for me at all. Like they just didn't care for me as an actor, and it happens. And I just had to remember that there were people in my life that like who saw the potential, saw what I could do, and then there are people who didn't see it, and you just got to be able to take those no's. And at that point in my life, with depression and things, I just wasn't able to take that no and move forward. So that's the goals: lose weight, and get into a TV show, movie, get on screen. That's the goals. So talking about how depression held me back from one of my goals so far, and there's other things that I'll talk about in a little bit. But what do you think is holding you back mentally from achieving these goals?
I can start. Okay. It's gonna sound weird, but it's like the fear of loss, right? It's not the fear of failure, because I personally, honestly think that I can do it and can make it, right? Like I honestly do think this. However, I also know I'm kind of a fuck up, and my biggest fear is getting it all and then losing it, right? And so in my head, it's why even like a lot of times it's like why even push myself to get it if I know I'm just gonna lose it, you know? And I feel like losing something is worse than failing because you had it at one point. I know that sounds really weird, but like I don't know. In my head, it seems better not to have it ever than to have it and then lose it.
Yeah, that's one of those objects of like perception, though, right? Because it's you could say that, right? But at least you could get there, versus not ever being able to get there, right? So it can definitely be worse to lose it, but at the same time, you were capable of getting there. So you have, if you once got there and then lost it, it just means that you have different obstacles to worry about rather than never getting there. So like,
Yeah, but like I feel it comes to the next part is like it's great that we made it, and you can say that like I got it once, I could probably do it again. But
Mhm.
like when you lose it, and like you can't like no one can tell you how your mentality is going to be after it gets lost, if it ever does. But after you lose something, you see a lot of people when they lose, for example, their fame and stuff, they never get it back, and they like lose their absolute fucking minds
They
because
spiral downward, yeah.
yeah, and I feel like that may be me. I feel, and that adds on to it. It's like I feel like if I get it all and I lose it, I'm
The more
gonna
you
be
explode.
lower than where I started.
Yeah. I guess
It,
it's just a matter of how you take it, right?
yeah, and like, and again, I can't say I think in life I take most bad things with stride. I am a very in emergencies and stuff. I'm very calm, very thoughtful. I think things through as best as I can to make the situation not as shitty. You can ask Grant; we've been through a lot of that,
Mhm.
and um it's just like some like everyone has their limit, right? And like what if
Mhm.
that's it? What if that is the thing that like breaks me to not do it again, you know what I'm saying? And that's just the fear. And I know it's
Mhm.
kind of a dumb fear,
No, I
but
mean that's a mental thing that can hold you back, definitely.
like I guess there's no way to find out how you're going to handle it until it happens. And there's no guarantee that it will happen after you have it, but like I will be one of those people that make it, and when I do make it, I'm like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna act like I don't know nobody. First of all, right?
Duh.
I'm gonna seclude myself. I'm gonna keep the ones that I have now. I ain't gonna add nobody, nothing, and like I'm gonna seclude myself, do what I do, and hope for the best. That's my mindset on it, and that's I think is gonna be what is the driving force to help me make it. But that is always going to be in the back of my mind because you work so hard to get there, you lose it, you go through all the mental toll of like, fuck, I got to do it again. Like, what if I can't? And
Mhm.
that slowly can drag you down into the abyss.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely never ending cycle.
And like, even now, when I start up projects and stuff, I'll get it started and it'll look all right, like with my drawings and stuff. And then I'll sit there and I will sit there on days just looking at it. Like I'll turn on my iPad and just stare at it for 3-4 hours at night until my iPad dies. And I'll be like, I I don't want to touch it because like if it's great, awesome. That's just one step closer. But at the same time, it's like I
Yeah.
don't know if I should. It's just a mental block that hopefully one day I get over and just run and not hit it again.
Yeah, you can do it, man. Everyone can always get over that stuff, right?
Hope
As
so.
people. Yeah, no, you can do it. You can do it. Definitely can. What about you, Rand?
Uh, so obviously I'm a big dude, been a big dude my whole life. And my mental block has to do with food. I have a very unhealthy relationship with food. Um, like growing up before Alec was born, I would eat school lunch, breakfast, go to grandma's, eat something there, get picked up by our mom, and then head home. And then we usually ate fast food. That was my life cycle, and when I was younger, I really wanted to be like my dad, and so I would try to eat what he did, do what he did. And my dad's a big dude, and then uh, when I was 11, I broke my jaw and was wired shut for almost a year, and only could drink like Simfast, eat soups and stuff like that through a straw. And so during that year, I hated food. I didn't want anything to do with it because everybody else was eating stuff and I had to drink liquid. Uh, and then we became poor and like we were eating one meal a day. And uh, so at any time, if I had an ability to get food, I would eat as much as possible because I didn't know when the next time I would be able to eat more food. Because at one point I was eating like we were eating Easy Mac and like tuna fish, like a pack of Easy Mac with tuna fish in it. Like that's just how bad things were, and like it happens. It's life. Uh, or I was like making food for Grandma, Kevin, me, Alec, my mom, and I had to share what we had with 5 people. Uh, and then so anytime I got food, I ate as much as I could. And then I got to in high school I was better. Like I was still like 350, 360, but like I think I carried my weight well and I liked how I looked at that point. And then I got to college and I had money, and so I ate when my friends were eating. I would drink a lot, partying, uh, uh, fast food, pizza, huge plates. Just I had a really unhealthy relationship, and so that's definitely a very big thing for me is figuring out how to have a healthy relationship with food. And I think the one of the obstacles with my relationship with food is my like constant changing of money. Like I don't think for at any point in my adult life I've had a consistent amount of money coming in at the same time. It's either I have a bunch of money coming in or I have no money coming in. So if I, for example, we started doing keto and I enjoyed it, but keto is expensive and it was working for me. But then my influx of money went away, and I had to get off keto and try something else. And so I'm constantly like shifting what we're trying or what we're doing to try to figure out something that works. And it either works and it's great and we can do it for a while, and then something happens where it changes. So that seems to be my mental thing is just figuring out and getting over like I'm constantly low, like it's just where I am at in my life, like uh just mentally low, like, and it's been that way for a while. I'm like not suicidal low or anything like that. I'm at what is normal for me at this point. uh I think figuring out a relationship with food and figuring out how to not be low, like I said, just waking up and being happy and not worrying is something that eventually I'll figure it out. Like I'm not going to give up on life. I don't want to die. I want to live for a while. Like I still want kids, maybe at some point, want a wife and stuff like that. Uh, it's just a matter of uh, being man. That's that stupid misogynistic fucking viewpoint of America or the world is being man enough to seek help. Like, and being like we're all mixed. In Black communities, mental health isn't something that is often discussed or looked at. It's usually frowned upon. Like at least when I was growing up, it was that way. So like seeking help is a very difficult thing for me. Like it got to a point in college where I was working with a professor on a thing that would have boosted me to a career. It would have boosted me to a career. We were writing papers on white privilege. We were ahead of the time with white privilege, and my depression got so bad that she took me off the project because I wouldn't go get help. She would let me stay on the project if I would have went and talked to a psychologist about my depression, got medicine and stuff like that. But it was it's so ingrained in me, like I don't need help. Like I can get over it myself, that I didn't, and I threw away a life-changing possibility because I was too selfish or too stubborn to seek the help that was clearly needed.
That's a big one too, though. I mean, again, you can kind of attest society to a lot of that. I mean, kind of as you were saying before, a lot of people have that ingrained in them, and sometimes you really do.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to admit that is one of the big things. And Like, it's not just with that, but with a lot of things in life, whether it's school, work, whatever. If you need help, get the help that you need. That's how you're going to be more successful and find a way to be more successful. Which is interesting because, you know, kind of have like some of the same mental roadblocks as that is, never really having the structure to get the help that you need. So, you really never chose to do so. Um, and that's like in my past, right? Now to the point where I've gotten to now, I have a lot more of structure, more of a structure, so I can get the help or talk to people that I need, whatever the case is there. But I have a huge fear of not being able to perform to the level that I expect myself to be able to. That's going to probably be my biggest roadblock when it comes to a lot of things, especially like with something like this, like with the whole podcast thing. I feel like I'm not going to be very good at talking. I'm not going to be captivating or take people's attention or have input that people even, or output rather, that people even care about. So it concerns me in the back end, in my brain, that I'm just not going to do well. But this is kind of like one of my, doing this whole project is just kind of one of my things to kind of help move myself forward in a direction of, regardless of whether or not I can perform to how well I think I can, it's a matter of trying. And then if I find that I'm not, can I increase my performance from there? The same thing goes with like school and work and things like that. A lot of the time, which I got over and with work, which is really cool because I got to where I'm at now, managing an entire store, and things like that. But with school, that's always been my biggest fear. Is like I want to get into other things, number related, accounting, mathematics related, things like that. But I always fear that I'm not going to perform to the level that I believe I'm capable of. Which in a lot of cases are a lot of things that I've been interested in getting started in. I just don't start at all because I would rather kind of back to what Alec was saying, you know, you know, but a little bit different where I won't try because I feel like I can't perform to the level that I think I should be able to. So because of that, I just don't try at all. And that's been a big, big mental block for me for probably the entirety of my life. Um, it kind of started with back in high school, middle school, high school, where I actually broke records for track running, and then shortly after broke my ankle. And then from that day on, I just never tried it again. I never ran track, even though my ankle healed fine. I could run, I could do all those things. I always avoided it because I never tried again because of the fact that if I can't perform at the best of my ability, I don't want to do it at all. So I guess in a sense it's kind of the same thing that you were talking about, Alec, where you rather not even go for it if you could potentially have it and then lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same sort of scenario where I don't want to even try if I can't guarantee that I can perform at what my expectations are. So
Yeah, I like to go on that. I think like one of the things that like reaffirms all that for me at least is like when you do something and then the first thing someone says is, "Oh, I've seen you do better." Especially when it's something that you're like proud of or like you felt like you worked really hard on.
Mhm.
And one of the first things you hear for critique is, "I've seen you do better." And it's like, yeah, but fuck. Like there's not much you can do. And like I didn't draw for a really long time. As just an example, I was told that drawing was going to take me nowhere, so I stopped drawing from 7th grade to about sophomore junior year, which is a decent amount of time, especially since that's the big development years that someone has. And then after that I drew only in class. And like you have situations where you do something where like you get that like and people are like, wow, that's really good if only you put more effort into it. And you're like, yeah, I know that's going to be great, but if I put all that effort into one thing and then I do something that doesn't live up to that one thing, it's
It's going to
insane.
relate to everything for you rather than just that piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I've done that many times in my life. I use drawing mostly as an example. Like in college, we're supposed to put 20 hours into a drawing. I put 4 into it, and like after honestly telling the teacher I only put 4 into it, he's like, "It's really good. Like, I bet you could make something that's like amazing for $20 or $20 with 20 hours, and but you only put 4 in, so I can only give you a B, blah blah blah." And it's like, yeah. And if I did put that full 20 hours in, I'm sure something amazing would come out. But then I feel like that's just a bar and a standard that any lower, I it starts that downward spiral, and it's not obviously as big, but and
Right, to
like
put in the 20 hours of work and then potentially also get a B. Then what?
yeah,
That
yeah.
how it affects you emotionally or mentally in that aspect.
Mm-hmm. And that's just
Definitely.
how things are. Like I half-ass things. That's also a problem I have. I half-ass things because of that. And like you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. You should put all your effort in because and you should realize that you're not always going to be on the top.
Mhm.
Like you always have something that was you're going to consider better than what you put out, and there's
Mhm.
always going to be something that someone else considers that you're going to be put out, and there's going to be people that think this is the best fucking thing you've done the whole time. But like that mentality is hard to constantly think about. It's hard to constantly be that positive on it all, especially if it's something you hate. So
That's for sure. For sure. It's definitely one of those things that I always wonder for people who are very successful in their field. Um, in terms of a mentality or a mindset that they have, are those people who are in that position content? Are they okay with where they're at? Or are they constantly pushing to do better? And I know that there's going to be a spectrum of answers to that, right? You got some people who are okay with where they're at, so they're there. You got others who are constantly striving to do better. But I always wonder, like, in terms of, I guess, like the analytics on that or the amount of people, I wonder if there's more people who are okay with just being where they're at, or is there more people who are constantly striving to get better? It's kind of like a weird thing that I've always wondered. Um,
I, I feel like if we were to do that, then the question would arise: is it like are these people content with where they're at because they haven't got to live where they could be? And like if we were
right.
to put these guys in a situation where they live a whole month, where what happens if they worked hard and got promoted to the next seed or whatever, like the next bracket, whatever, and like would that motivate them to go up, or would they still be like, no, I was happier back when you know I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck, but I was like a decent amount compared to like having everything.
Yeah.
Too many
Yeah.
hype.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things, right? Like, you gotta wonder. You gotta wonder.
Well, this episode got a lot more deep than originally anticipated when we wrote up the script and was looking at what we wanted to talk about, which isn't a bad thing. I'm happy with how this episode went. I think it gives a good example of who we are, what we think, where we're going, what we want to do. Uh, in the future, obviously, this is a very deep episode. In the future, if we talk about something that is potentially triggering, we will have a warning in the intro to let you guys know that it's potentially triggering. I can't say that word right now.
That's for goddamn sure.
When we do anime episodes or movies or any pop culture thing, we would definitely give you guys a spoiler alert as well. Speaking of that, our next episode 2, is anime.
Hey.
Where we will be talking about our favorite animes,
Babe.
things like that. So, spoiler warning ahead of time, but it will also let you know before.
This man's a week straight up.
We will be having a competition between those two to see who is the weebiest weeb. I'm gonna pick out images from animes and have them compare who it is.
Listen, we already piloted this, and you destroyed me. Okay.
I didn't destroy you, dude.
Okay, I knew like one, and you were like,
Yes, that's the one from 1992, if I'm not mistaken.
and I was like, oh my.
It's not my fault that someone was putting in Netflix anime. Okay.
Okay, dude.
It's 10
Okay, dude.
Okay, and he's just running the thing out. Like, oh, it was. All right.
Yeah, you know it's not even like that. You know, you're just a.
It's
you're
your
just,
week, dude. Hey man, make sure you put some things with like little girls in it because I heard he posts those type of anime.
Okay, that's really fucking weird, dude.
Oh, you don't look at the post. Is that a No Game
No
Life?
Game No Life and
weird.
Bleach.
What is one of the main characters in No Game No Life?
Ooh. Well, thank you guys for doing this podcast with me. Appreciate you guys. I thought it was fun. I thought we got, like I said, got deep. Thank you everybody for listening at home. If you are listening at home,
And also,
you go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna say, and also like, it's kind of the first episode, so it's we're gonna probably how we approach a lot of the topics is probably gonna change a lot in the future. Getting a feel for how we want things to be laid out or how we want to present it to others is definitely going to be a constant work in progress. And again, that structure of how our podcast is laid out will definitely change over time. But thanks for sticking with it and bearing with us.
Yeah,
and I want
bearing with it and sticking with us. Wow, words are hard.
I want to have a special thanks to anyone who's listening to this on public transport because that sucks. But at least we helped you with that, and then also anyone that's listening to this like way in the future, if we blow up, and we're like, oh, let's see where it started. I'm sorry we weren't that good.
Here's the truth.
Or behind the time, you know what I'm saying? Like, my bad.
And speaking of that, time to sell out. Like and subscribe us on YouTube, whatever platform you are listening to this. Like us on there. Share it with your friends on Facebook. And if you look at the shirt that Xavier's wearing, if you're watching on YouTube, or Alec, or the picture behind me, the Martin Luther King and Malcolm X picture, all of these are available on sirbude.com/merch, where Alec designs all of our merch.
Look how clear that is. I built like a billboard, dog. God damn.
We have a lot of cool designs on there, a lot of hoodies, shirts, pants, the whole nine. I think you guys would like it. So that was the sellout time of the episode. So again, thank you guys very much for watching and listening, and we will see you.
Like, comment,
soon.
Subscribe, talk shit to us so we can debate with you. If you know
For
what
sure,
I mean.
for sure. No.